pick a profession what you enjoy.
Okay.
Because you'll excel. And every time you make food with love, it will flow to the consumer or to the person who's eating. And that just one smile, that makes your day. Either it is a bandiwala, or it's a small stall, or it's a chai shop, or it's a 5-star hotel. The amount of people who are directly, indirectly associated with food is close to 25 lakhs.
Hello and welcome, guys. Today we have Chef Amey with us, a multifaceted personality, been in the food industry for over a decade now. So let's get to know him before he shares all his secret recipes with us.
Thank you, Muddassir, for having me. And it's been 18 years now.
Okay.
I'm being in the industry, and it started as a kid actually.
Okay.
So I was very clear in my school days. Either I wanted to be on the stage, or I wanted to be in the kitchen.
Stage as in drama?
Yeah. So I did a lot of theatre.
Oh, nice.
Till my 11th standard.
Okay.
But eventually the love of food took over.
Okay.
And my dad wanted me to go to army. But since he was a psychologist, he figured when I was in 6th or 7th, he figured that my heart is not there. So he called me one day and he said, pick a profession what you enjoy.
Okay.
Because you'll excel. And I think that was a very important piece of advice for me, because that gave me the freedom of choosing my profile. And back then, coming from a Brahmin Hindu background, choosing a chef profession was called bawarchi banega.
I'll tell you a small story. So as kids, when you're a small kid, when you start talking and interacting, people start asking you when they come home, or your own parents ask you, right?
Right.
I don't have any memory of this, but I think I was 4 or 5 years old. And at home, my parents and uncles and all, they used to ask what will you do. I used to tell, I want to cook. So they used to be like, बच्चे को बड़ा करके बावर्ची बनाते क्या?
It was not considered as a profession with respect back then.
No glamour.
No glamour. But then, I think, like I said, the love of food took over. And I think it was in 96, 97, when I was in 6th or 7th. One of the US presidents visited Taj Mahal. And the chef who catered to him, I think it was Chef Sanjeev Kapoor or someone, I don't remember. He came into the entire nation's limelight.
Okay.
And that is the day I decided that the stage can come later, kitchen will come first. Yeah, so that's my journey. And then I've been working in different kitchens in the country, outside the country, since 2005. So it's been 18 years, and I think it's been an incredible journey. I couldn't ask for better.
Yeah. So a lot of people say that like for an artist, there's a canvas, and for a chef, the kitchen is the empty canvas.
Yeah.
So given with how our Indian community, let's talk about just India, how people are rapidly consuming fancy stuff, how difficult is it getting for chefs to get more creative in the kitchen?
So very brilliant question, I must say. And it's a good mix again, because even when you are eating new stuff, even when you want to try something new, and chefs are always on their toes to create something new, eventually you will come back to dal chawal.
Yes.
And that's India for you. And that's for any country. You can go to a restaurant for having a pasta or pizza maybe twice a month, but you will go back to a restaurant who's selling a good dal and a rice maybe every day.
Yeah.
So it's a mix. But in the world of social media, when everyone wants to post pictures, food has to look good. So we are always on our toes. But what I believe is relatable food will always sell.
Okay.
And it has to be made with love. So for me, food is love. And food is therapeutic also. There are times when, you're not feeling well. For specific chefs, we get into kitchen and we cook and we feel better. And every time you make food with love, it will flow to the consumer or to the person who's eating. And that just one smile, that makes your day. So, yeah.
So, apart from being a chef, you also do food consulting?
Correct. So, it's been a year and a half where I moved into consulting full time. And what I figured during my 17 years of journey is I had so much which I wanted to give out, but I was confined to one organization. And I said, I would rather get into a place where I can impact multiple businesses. I can share knowledge with multiple entrepreneurs, and I can help them live their dreams. True. And that is the reason when I decided to move out and get into consulting. And also I figured that, after reaching a peak in my career when I was heading Paradise nationally as a national culinary head, is then you want to do something new.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, that is when I decided to help a lot of people. And today I think I work with around 12 different organizations, helping them build their dreams and live their dreams.
So as a consultant, first for the viewers, please explain what food consulting is.
So food consulting has multiple aspects. It starts from designing your kitchen. It starts from curating a menu. It starts from doing food trials and trainings and standardization. And it changes from client to client.
Yes.
So for me, the amount of time I have to shift my mind in a day is huge, because every time you're getting into a new meeting, you have to completely change your mindset according to what's the need.
Yeah.
Rather than when you work in the same organization every day, your mindset is set.
Same.
So one thing which I generally do with all my consulting is, regardless whether the person in the front agrees or does not agree, my job is to give them the right consultation. My job is to tell them what is right, what is wrong, because most of the people who are wanting to come into food and beverage don't come from the background. They don't understand the nitty-gritty. They don't understand the technical stuff. Most of them have good money and they just want to start a restaurant either for a hobby or for a status quo, or just from a motive of making money. And anyone who starts a business by keeping a motive of making money, it will not succeed. So I do take very selected projects. I like, people reach out to me, I also check who these people are, and because every time I take a project, my brand name gets associated to it. So that's very important to me. And that is why in my projects I am very clear with people that this is what I feel is right, given. And why do you hire a consultant? To give you right advice, right?
Yes.
So that is what I do. I don't generally bend down to what a person's asking if it is not actually possible.
It's almost like a doctor's job. The injection is going to hurt, but it is going to benefit.
But the challenge is, when you go to a doctor, you listen to the doctor. All right. In our case, it is not as easy, because if I tell them that, okay, this dish will take 20 minutes, the other person says, no, I want it in 2 minutes. Now, it doesn't happen. Yeah.
So now that you've, in your almost 2-decade journey, you've worked with a variety of people.
Right.
Now that with the consulting, I'm sure you're coming across a lot of young blood who's trying to get into F&B, right?
Yeah.
So what difference do you find in their hunger in comparison to the more so, say, stronger, concrete, preconceived mind of these old guys in the game?
So actually very few are hungry.
Okay.
The real hunger is very few.
Okay.
There are very few have the real substance. Like I said, it's just more for a show. So I look for people who have real hunger, because that is when, they will extract so much out of me, which keeps pushing me for achieving something more.
So there's creative benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you say hunger, what is that you look for in them?
So today morning only I actually posted a story on Instagram, and a wise man some years back told me that in a person you should look for 3 things: integrity, intelligence, and intentionality. So these are the 3 things I look into people when I'm meeting. And if I find these 3 in line, then I'm game.
Okay. So you spoke about integrity, intelligence, and the last one was?
Intentionality.
So how do you figure out intentionality of a person?
It will show in their life. It will show in the fruit of their lives.
Okay. So let's just say there's a 26-year-old kid. 26, let's just call him a kid.
No problem.
Given the kind of expertise you have.
Right.
So let's just say he wants to get into a game, F&B game.
Right.
Maybe let us assume he comes from a comfortable background where he's being funded by his family.
Right.
In a character like that who's not done concrete anything before in his life, how do you figure out these 3 aspects?
So integrity, first I'll talk about integrity, and that you can figure out even while speaking to someone for 5 minutes. You can make out how much he's lying and how much he's speaking from the heart. And all of us have that intuitive knowledge built inside us.
Yeah.
So you know if the person is lying or he is speaking the truth. So that is the first. Second is intentionality. even if it's a 26-year-old kid, and let's say that the kid wants to start a pizza brand, all right, how much homework he's done on the pizza brand he wants to start? Does he really understand how a pizza is made, or he's put any work to visit at least 20 places, have tasted pizzas? If he's really done some good homework, that he's really interested.
Okay.
Otherwise, he'll say, okay, I have money, you come as a consultant
I
and
want the
help,
best,
and
that's
just start a pizza brand for me. When you see that, that's a red flag, because he's not done his homework. He's not going to put efforts in the future in his place.
Yes.
He just expects people to work because he's got ready cash. And intelligence is, again, when you talk to people, you understand. For example, just to give you an example of a young kid and someone who I very closely work with, Niyar, he knows more than maybe good senior chefs, the amount of research he puts into what he wants to do.
Yeah.
So you know that he is intentional about it.
Yeah.
You knows when you speak to someone like him, you know that he is speaking the truth. And you see the intelligence, the way he's built the brand.
Yeah.
So these three things are very important. Even when you meet for someone for the first time, I try to analyze, and there are times when even my decisions have gone wrong, but we all learn.
Yeah. Tell us about the good days in kitchen and bad days in kitchen that follow. So you help them set up the kitchen, the place, everything. Let us assume the brand has also established a language and communication with its customers and stuff.
Right.
Now starts the real challenge, I think. Running the kitchen smoothly once the numbers start coming in.
Right.
Because that's when you cannot slip.
Right.
So let us assume a bad day in kitchen could be like recently. I have seen your Instagram stories, and a very unfortunate incident happened where non-veg was served by mistake.
Correct.
Right? Situations like that, how do you firefight?
So see, first you need to look at the problem from a root cause angle. What was the issue? And human error is something which is very common when you are dishing out hundreds of plate of food every single day, and specifically where humans are involved.
True.
There is a chance of these kind of goof ups. Now, how do you cope up with such days? Is you look at what happened, look at what we could have done better, fix that and move forward, rather than sulking about it.
Yeah.
And one thing which I generally try and do is, at least for last 5-6 years, I always try and keep a good balance between man and machine to avoid such days. Because one challenge which we all face, and all the hoteliers or chefs would watch this, they will relate that the only challenge today, or the biggest challenge, is acute shortage of skilled manpower in the industry.
True.
Because everyone wants to open something,
Yeah.
but the same amount of professionals are not getting built up by colleges, or they're not coming into the profession, is not easy to run. And that is where you need to have good balance between man and machine.
I feel also right now it is more about, let us say you found a guy, he's a fresher out of college, he's working. Majority of these kids, they come from smaller towns, right? They come to a city like Hyderabad, they get educated, they get a job. 2 years in, they find some chacha ka ladka, mama ka ladka who's not doing much in life. He'll be like, tu aaja,
Right.
mere haath ke niche yahan pe kaam seekh le.
Correct.
So the whole intent again is their money.
Correct.
Lack of employment.
Correct.
And I feel that is also another cause of, things going haywire.
Yeah, so that's exactly the challenge, because you don't have professionals coming out of colleges, the amount of them you need, and then you have to depend on the people who come from villages.
Yeah.
And for them, loyalty factor is very low. For them, money is important.
Yeah.
So if someone is paying me 2,000 extra, for me that 2,000 is a big amount, right?
Yeah.
So I'll not think twice to move out. And that's a challenge across the country we face today.
Yeah. So given that kind of challenge, and also with you being part of the Telangana Chef Association, being a strong founding member, what do you think the government or any other committee set up by the government can do to help this cause? Because I feel as a government, F&B is benefiting the government a lot in terms of the tax that they collect.
Right.
So I feel they should also give back something to the F&B industry.
Right.
So what would you suggest? How can they help?
So first thing, they need to recognize us as an industry.
Okay.
Which is not the case. Second is the policies which were made long back, they have to be changed, which is not the case. And then Telangana is still better. A lot of other states are not, in terms of the governing of how the F&B industry is driven. But definitely, if they can, partner with someone like us, like a Telangana Chefs Association, or there is another association for hotels and restaurants, and actively, work with us to spread awareness about the profession. Because recently we did a statistical study and we figured that there are more than 25 lakh professionals in Hyderabad who are somehow related to food and beverage.
Okay.
Either it is a bandiwala, or it's a small stall, or it's a chai shop, or it's a 5-star hotel. The amount of people who are directly, indirectly associated with food is close to 25 lakhs.
So number might even go up if you consider people supplying raw material also.
Yeah, including all of them.
Raw material, packaging, everything.
So anyone who's somehow connected to food and beverage is roughly 25 lakhs. But we don't still consider
So
this
if there's
as an
a
industry.
good governing authority with good assistance, then this can generate even more big numbers.
Absolutely.
So what do you think also the government can do to promote more F&B businesses to come up also?
Give little more easy policies, I would say, for running, and I think the one thing is just help us spread the awareness.
Okay.
Give that value which the industry doesn't have today. As in, every one of us will go out to eat, but how many times we really look at them? Because, we are the only profession maybe outside the army who are always on the job. We are the only profession who doesn't have a luxury to work from home.
No holidays on weekends.
No holidays on weekends.
No holidays on festivals.
No festivals. Because when everyone wants to celebrate,
you guys have to
we
work.
are working.
You're working more, in fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can the government do to provide more employment or promote more on the education front of becoming a chef? Like the school that you have studied from, such schools, very handful exist in our own city as well, right?
No. So that's a misconception, I would say. Hyderabad has 67 registered hotel management colleges.
Okay, but how many seats are full in that?
So 37 are active. And for last 2 years, forget Hyderabad, the entire country, all the colleges are seeing 50% dip in admissions. Because post-COVID, what people realized, and specifically parents, that before COVID, everyone thought that everything can stop, but food businesses will never stop because we eat every day. COVID taught us that even food business can be shut. So now parents are telling their kids that try and take a profession where you have at least a possibility of working from home.
Okay.
Which is not the case with us. And it will never be the case with us because you have to be physically present to cook.
You cannot cook
so
food
the
on
only
a
thing
laptop.
government still can do is just spread awareness. That's the only thing they can do.
And any advice to the parents who are, demotivating their kids from becoming or getting into the F&B?
I would say don't demotivate. Because how many times you go out to eat and how many times you get a good experience. And if your kid is really passionate about this industry, don't put your expectation on your children. Let them do what they want to do. And I think taking a cue from what my dad did to me, if he forcefully put me in army, I might not have enjoyed it and I might have worked, but I wouldn't have grown the way I've grown here.
Yeah.
So I think, don't curb their passion, I would say.
Nice. So, like you said, when we were discussing about getting more creative in the cuisines,
Right.
and you told we as Indians will always come back to dal chawal.
Correct.
Apart from dal chawal, what is your staple go-to food?
Chinese.
So when we say, I asked this on purpose. I was hoping you say Chinese because a lot of people get confused between Chinese, Asian, Pan-Asian. Right? So can you dive into that and explain the differences between all these three to us?
One more you forgot is Chindian. So what sells in India is Chindian.
Yeah.
What I like is the entire Pan-Asian belt.
Okay.
But more or so China and Thailand are these two places where I like to, work and eat that food a lot. And it is very beautiful to see it starts from Philippines and it goes up to
that
Japan.
Entire belt.
Yeah, entire belt. And the way food evolves and the way food is very similar to what we eat. Apart from China. China, if you eat real Chinese, is very different.
Yeah.
You won't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So Thailand is very close to India in terms of the ingredients they use. Myanmar is very close to India because I believe up till few centuries or few thousands of years back, our Indian, what you call the dynasties were up till Philippines.
Yeah.
So it was ruled by India, all that, and that is why you see a lot of temples still in Thailand
Yes.
and Cambodia and all those parts. So that food is relatable, and that is why you see a lot of Indian like that kind of food or Indian food, because we can relate to it.
Yes.
And then the other cuisine, which not me but a lot of people like, is Mexican or Spanish.
I was going to
because-
come to that, and I was going to ask you this question. We'll get into the history and how history is related to food later,
Right,
but before that, I wanted to touch upon Mexican food in particular,
Right.
of how Mexicans in general, they behave a lot like how Indians do.
True.
They are very closely bonded with their food,
Yeah,
like how we want dal chawal, they want their staples.
absolutely.
But why is it struggling, especially in South India, given how our eating habits are very similar to theirs?
Right.
Why is not a single Mexican standalone restaurant being able to survive, especially in the South Indian subcontinent?
Never thought from that angle though. I think one long survivor was in Novotel,
Yes.
1 lakh Cantina, which was
Yeah.
there for almost a decade.
Yeah.
I think the another challenge is when food becomes extremely similar to what you eat every day, you would rather eat what you eat every day.
Okay.
Is maybe a challenge. And also the kind of chilies they use, we don't get all of those chilies here,
Yeah.
most of them. Jalapenos are very common. We call it our mirchi bachi wala mirchi. Apart from that, a lot of other chilies. So they have a range of wide chilies.
Yeah.
And they're very specific of what chili is used in what dish. And that brings out the flavor of that particular item, which is little difficult to source here. Whether it is south or I would say even north, you don't have many Mexican restaurants who are actually doing or who
Or
have
even
expanded.
Spanish for that matter. I don't think Hyderabad has any Spanish restaurant.
No.
So what is the reason apart from the spices? Let's talk about the Spanish food.
Again, I would say relatability. Paya is similar to biryani, but the flavors are very different.
Yes.
So I think it's just that our eating habits.
Is it that the provider, as in the business, is it struggling to produce that, or is it struggling to sell it to the Indian audience?
Both, because what happens in our country is we don't give the amount of time required to master a cuisine.
Okay.
For example, since you brought this topic up, in Japan, people get trained for years to make a sushi.
Yeah.
You have certifications to make a sushi.
Yeah.
And you come to India and you get a guy from anywhere and he'll give you sushi in 2 days.
Not just that. If you actually go to a proper sushi place, they have sushi chefs.
Correct.
They don't do anything else.
Correct.
But here, 1 second he's on the sushi counter, next session he's doing fried rice and chicken
And
65 inside.
he'll make a spaghetti bolognese also. So we don't give the time required to master a cuisine.
Yeah.
And when you don't spend that necessary time, obviously what you produce is going to be subpar.
True.
And when the food is subpar, automatically it will not sell.
Nice.
So that's a major challenge. And then comes the sourcing part. With last 5-6 years, FSSAI have become very strict in terms of what we can import, how much we can import, to also give boost to make in India.
Yeah.
So sourcing is a bit of challenge, but more or so I say that we don't give enough time to master a cuisine. And if we don't want to give time, we don't invest on the right people who have already mastered the cuisine.
Yeah.
Because then you have to spend money on salary, right? And most of the entrepreneurs or people who are coming into business, they are okay to spend on interiors,
Marketing,
they are okay to
ambience.
spend on table and chair, but they are not okay to spend on people. And this is the advice I give it to everyone. For a restaurant, kitchen is your heart,
Yeah.
right? And most of the people don't take care of the heart. You will have heart attacks.
Yes.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's no rocket science. So you spend good money in kitchen, you invest on people, and you'll see your business flourish, because you're not going to sit in the restaurant for 24 hours.
Yeah.
It is your team who's going to run your business.
Yes.
And for that, you need to have right people at right positions with the right amount of investment done on them. And then you need to have a right infra.
Yeah.
And then give right time for people to actually master the art of food. which we don't allow in our country somehow.
So since you spoke about how the kitchen is the heart of the business,
Right.
let's talk about the team building that goes into from the consulting perspective or even as a business owner perspective.
Right.
How does one identify what kind of people to invest on and how to nurture and build a team?
That's a very important question, and I think it's an integral part of any business, whether it is food and beverage or any business. Team building is the most important and the most difficult challenge a leader has, because as a business owner or as a team leader, if you have built your team right, if you've identified the needs, so it starts from identifying the needs. Suppose someone is starting an Italian restaurant.
Okay.
And he wants to have a wood-fired pizza, he wants to have fresh pastas, he wants to have fresh sauces. So first what you do is you put down on a paper what is the need. So I need a pizza master, I need someone who knows how to make fresh pastas, then I need someone who can make fresh sauces. Now you see for what you need extremely skilled people, and then you see for what you need little skilled people. This is the first basic need, and then based on that you start interviewing people.
Okay.
Now, one thing which I generally tell people, that you can give guarantee for everything. You can give guarantee for this mic that it will run for 2 years, but you can't give guarantee for a person.
Yeah.
Right? And that is why it is very important that you spend right amount of time identifying the right talent. And when I say that, I don't say more from a technical background. I more say that how a person is. Because skills can be taught. Values, one's characteristics, and one's demeanor cannot be taught. So for me, when I look at people, I first see how a person is. And even if someone is low on skill, but if he's hungry, if he's passionate, if he has a clean heart, you can teach him how to make a pizza. But if he knows to make the best pizza, but he's a crook, then it's a red flag not to have in the team.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time looking at the right people. Sometimes I'm a little easy with people. I like to give chances. At times it does take a toll, because you trust people and then they, somehow don't live up to the expectations.
True.
But for me personally, building people is what I love. And when you see people who you have been investing on, and when you see them flourish, I think that's gives me the biggest high.
Yeah.
So I love building people. I love investing in people. I love spending time with people. Just again, coming back to the same three things. If you see the integrity, if you see the intentionality, and if you see little intelligence, I am all out to invest on you. And this is what I tell people I work with, that identify these things, and if you see these things in a person, invest. So team building is very important, because today, like I'm sitting with you and we've been talking for a while, I can sit here comfortably when I know that the teams I'm building, they're doing their job right.
Yes.
And that is only when I can sit here easy.
Have some peace.
Correct. So team building is very important, because I started to make sure 6 years back that I go to sleep by 10 o'clock in the night, because I wanted to put my health first.
Yeah.
But how do you do that in a restaurant industry? Because that is when you actually start to get busy, right?
Yeah.
So it's the team who does the job.
Yeah.
So you have to look at these, and then you need to empower people.
Yeah.
You need to give them freedom. You need to be ready to take some risks. You need to be ready to handle some tough situations. But when you empower people, you give them freedom, they flourish.
Yeah.
And most of the times, a lot of things they will not let come to you also.
Yeah.
So team building is imperative, is very, very important. And that's the only task I would say every leader should put 80% of time on.
But no matter how meticulously you build a team, I'm sure there's at least 1% chance, or out of 100 projects that you do, one project where you will find a rotten apple.
Yeah.
So
Not 100. Every place you'll find a rotten apple.
Okay. I was just trying to be very
Every
gentle
place,
over there.
Every place you'll find a rotten apple.
So please tell me, so plucking out that apple right away is not the only solution.
But
Always.
it's the first thing you need to do.
Yes. First thing to do, but that does not mean the problem is gone.
Correct.
Right? A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of these people, because their main intention is with starting an F&B is they feel easy money.
Right.
Later on, obviously, they understand it's not easy money. There's a lot of hard work that goes in.
Absolutely.
And then in that process they will find a rotten apple. And many owners, more often than not, they feel like once they pluck out that apple, others will fall in line out of the fear of losing a job.
Right.
Wherein that's not
That's
what
not
exactly
the case.
happens. Like, for example, I had Nihar. He told me the best way to solve such problems is you need to get your mindset in line with the lowest level employee and also the highest level.
Absolutely.
Right? That is from a business owner's perspective. Now, you tell me, how do you tackle such situations being a consultant?
So first thing I look that once the rotten apple is gone, if he's been in the basket for some time, he must have infected couple of other apples.
Yes.
At least 1%, 2%, 3%. So you identify the apples which are about to start getting rotten.
Yes.
You call them. First thing you do is you do trimming.
Yes.
It's like, we take a knife and we cut out the bad part. So first thing you do is you do the trimming.
Yeah.
And see whether it is getting healed or it is usable or not.
Yeah.
And give little time. Once you see that the trimming is working, consume it. If you see that it is gone deep inside and it has become like a cancer, then you have to take another round of filtering session where it's not just the apple, the other apples will also go. Even if they've not been to that extent, but then it will spread.
Yeah.
And then again sit down and first thing you see that why did this happen? Why?
This is a lot of people where
why this apple had a chance to rotten in my fridge. Suppose if I call my team a fridge, what did go wrong? Whether I kept the door open or the temperature of the fridge was not right or I bought a bad apple.
Yeah.
So that I need to figure out, need to go to the root cause and then fix whatever the gap was.
How much does it affect you when a good apple goes bad?
A lot.
And how do you tackle that? Personally.
One thing I learned long ago is the power of letting go.
Yes.
And not many people actively work with it.
Yes.
So I let go.
So tell us your process, how to let go. It's not easy letting go. I know that.
Now it is very easy for me.
Yeah, but what brought you to this point?
Because you see that, right? You build teams. Now I must have operated till now, starting 2005 till today, I think 100 plus kitchens have run.
Okay.
And you see so many people move on. You see so many people change over time. You see so many people get into stuff which you never thought of. And if you start thinking and taking the load on you, it'll screw you.
But at the end of the day, it's such a passionate job. And when you're so passionate, it is most difficult task is to let go and move on.
So one thing which I again realize, a lot of people when they say they are passionate, you can see whether they're really passionate or no. If you see them, they're passionate about themselves. You cannot be passionate about anything if you're not passionate about yourself.
Yeah.
And when people move like this, you know that they're not first passionate about themselves.
Yeah.
And then there's no point. If I'm not passionate about myself, I cannot be passionate about anything else. So it's just a mask I wear that I'm extremely passionate towards my field or towards my profession, which is not the case. So a lot of people today wear a lot of different masks.
But I also feel a lot of people, they confuse themselves. A lot of people I feel get confused between them being passionate or them finding a particular field easy.
Do you really think that? Because I'm sure you've been into certain fields and deep inside you know whether it is just easy or you're passionate, and it is not confusing.
No, but many people nowadays, especially the young crowd, they are getting confused between passion and ease.
You can say that maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Given the kind of, let's just say, what is happening is, given the whole social media storm,
right?
A lot of people, they want to dress up and post pictures at the age of maybe say 16, 17. And by the time they reach the age of 19, they feel like they can be fashion designers. And then they join college and they start teaching them the construction of a particular garment. And then they'll be like, oh no, this is not what I thought it was.
Don't go where I don't want to go, the influencers. Yeah. So, I don't know, as in, one needs to sit with oneself, introspect, think, put it down on a piece of paper.
Given the kind of social media that surrounds us, sitting by yourself is a luxury now, I feel.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But a lot of people don't look at life in a long term. It just live for today. Live for today. Yeah. But then that is when you see only few people excel.
Yeah.
And others just remain where they are.
Nice. So one last thing that I want to touch upon with you is given how a lot of international brands are exiting from India for whatever reason, how do you feel that now is the right time for a lot of Indian brands to go international? And how important it is?
I think it is, the time is coming.
Yeah.
And that has been my desire for a very long time, to see our homegrown chains go out and be present in all the countries. And I think it is, the time is coming. The reason, so I'll touch two topics here. One, why no Indian brand has been able to do that.
Yeah.
And why international chains are moving out.
Yeah.
Now, if you see international chains who are built on strong values, who are built on strong system and processes, who are built on focusing a lot on their people,
Yeah.
are still thriving. To name a few, I am loving it, our burger or KFC or Domino's. These brands are built on very strong values.
Yeah.
All right. So that is the reason they will thrive, and they keep improving. They keep working on their product. They're not sitting silent. All the brands who are shutting shop, either their values were not as strong, either their systems and processes were not robust, or they didn't focus on people. Right? So that is the reason a lot of people will, whether they are exiting India or whether even local chains shutting down, the reasons are the same. Now, why Indian brands have not been able to do this is again the same reason.
True.
You go to the same brand to a different location and you have a completely different experience. And for me it was an eye opener. So I used to work with Hard Rock Cafe Pune from 2010 to 2013, and Pune being the automobile capital of the country, we had a lot of expat crowds in Pune staying for a long time.
Yeah.
And there's this group of Germans, 15-20 Germans, who I've seen, I think, all 365 days for all those 3 years when I was in Hard Rock.
Okay.
They all used to work for Volkswagen, because Volkswagen largest plant in India is in Pune. And they became like friends, because you see them every day. So one day I asked him, hey, why do you come to Hard Rock every day? And the answer he gave me is the answer what a lot of Indian chains have been not able to give to their consumers. He said, Amey, I've been to Hard Rock in Africa. I've been to Hard Rock in Japan. I've been to Hard Rock in Thailand. I must have been to Hard Rock in 25 different countries. But every time I step into a Hard Rock, regardless of where I am, I know how my barbecue bacon cheeseburger is going to look like. I know how it is going to taste like. And I know what is the experience I am going to get. I know what kind of music I am going to listen. And that brings me home. You might have slight variations because of the ingredients available in a certain area, but 90% it is the same, which our Indian brands have not been able to deliver, because coming back to the same thing, most of them are not built on strong values.
Yes.
Most of them don't invest enough on system, processes and research and development. Most of them want more profits, and hence they don't invest on right people. And that is why you see that they don't grow
Apart
as much.
from this, do you also not feel the risk-taking appetite is very low?
See, that risk-taking appetite is low because you want more money. Because when I know that today I can take home 10 lakhs a month, which I might not if I have to spend on people and equipment, I don't want to take that risk. Because I'm thinking whether it'll give me the same result.
This brings us back to the whole intent part
Correct.
that you spoke about.
Correct. Nice. And I really believe and I really, hope that there are brands which I see in Hyderabad or even outside in certain cities who got the potential to go out and be present in 100 or 150 countries or how many countries we have. If they don't lose out on their values, if they don't lose out on their systems and processes, if they continue to invest on right people, I think is not difficult. And we see some South brands already doing it. There's place like Sarvana Bhavan open in multiple places. You have Talpakatti opening in Sri Lanka recently. So
even our very own this Mustafa and all, even they are going global now.
Okay. I was not aware. Yeah. So if they focus on these back-end things and give them due importance, I think it's very easy to move. But most of the time we look at how much is coming in the bank.
Exactly. Yes.
And that is where the game gets over.
Nice. So before we wrap this up, one question that I make sure I ask everyone: this whole experience of coming down here, having this interaction and everything, what is that one thing that is going to stay with you and you're going to take back home with you?
One thing which I will definitely take back home is, having a chef on a podcast was very interesting, and I hope you get more chefs to speak. So that I will take back. I will also take back what you shared with me during the non-shoot time, that you're doing this to give back, and that's something which resonates with me. A lot of people do such things mostly to again make money or to earn name and fame. But if it is done with the right intent and a good heart, I think that's something which I will definitely
You cannot
take back.
hide that from people.
Correct. So that is something which I will take back. That there are very few who do things selflessly, even though it might benefit them in future in a certain way, because when you sow a right seed, you are bound to get a right harvest.
True.
So that's something which I will take back: the right intent and the clean heart.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be here.
Thank you so much for having
so much
me.
of your almost 2-decade knowledge and experience with us. An eye-opener for me in many regards.
Thank you.
This is probably going to change my experience and perception every time I visit a place to eat from now on.
Oh, that'll be brilliant.
And hopefully someone I can reach out to for recommendations.
Anytime.
Also.
Anytime.
So guys, if you like today's podcast and you feel a friend of yours need to see this and it will be a learning experience for them, then please do
like, share and subscribe
to our channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified whenever we come out with a new video.